Welcome to another exciting edition of Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Papergoy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Today we're going to talk about owning a category and the pros and cons of it. Now, there are a couple of categories that Auction Professor always talks about that he owns, and he is a big proponent of owning the category. And he's come out and said that even if they're small categories, if you've got 40, 50% of the category, you're going to end up making a lot of sales because every time somebody goes into it, they find your items. Now, I know you've got a couple of categories that you own overall, and you have an opportunity to pick up another category and more or less own it. And it's not exactly this because the deal is still being brokered. But let's say it's architectural magazines, and it's in Pennsylvania. So it's we could go there, drive there, and pack it all up and all that kind of stuff if we needed to. So you don't have all that into it. What are your feelings of owning a category?
I certainly like owning categories. I get a lot of compliments from people that I see you all the time on there, and they buy from me because I'm all over the place. But depends on the deal. This deal's a little heavy. I'm not a big proponent of a lot of duplicates, you know that. So, if you buy 100 magazines or 1,000 magazines and there's 10 of each, it takes you longer to sell them. They got to be stored. So this deal is huge. It's like 100 to 200,000 magazines. But I would certainly own a category but have a lot of duplicates, and it's definitely long-term.
Right. See, and that's one thing when I was looking at things, and I've kind of been contemplating the business and where I want to take my business in the next year, et cetera, et cetera. And one thing that I've definitely noticed is I do not own any categories. There is no category that I own. Actually brings up a quick little aside. Do you remember, and you're going to say no, and then when I tell you about it, you're going to remember, but do you remember eBay Pulse?
A little bit. a little bit, yeah. I had to think about it. Yes, it does sound familiar at least.
eBay Pulse was an interesting thing that eBay, and we're probably going back 15 years now, where you could click on and you could see the top 10 or top 5 or top 10 dealers in a given category. And I don't know if you remember this or not.
I remember where you were.
I was last in every category. It's
Mr.
amazing.
Minor League. Right?
I was.
Mr. Minor League.
And that's a running joke between us because we have the Rochester Red Wings here, a minor league franchise, and I probably had 10 minor league items up, all from the Red Wings, and I was the 5th biggest minor league dealer in the minor league category, and it just made me laugh really, really hard. It's like, I have 10 items. It's a big deal. But do you remember how eBay Pulse helped you?
I really should remember this.
You really should.
Obviously, I have no memory. It's all into Dave's head, but he's going to let us know.
We looked on magazines, and you were like number 4 or number 5.
Right, yeah.
And you
said,
said,
without even trying.
Well, and then you decided you wanted to try.
Yeah.
You said, I want to be the biggest magazine dealer on eBay. I don't know if you remember saying that or not.
I do remember that, yeah.
So that actually helped. You set a goal, and I believe that you're there. And I'm certain that within a few categories of magazines, specific titles, I'm sure you are
sure. Yeah.
top up on there.
Yeah.
And there's a gentleman that we watch his items, and his prices are a little beyond what I can get out of items. And I believe you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a newspaper area and a magazine area where he owns the categories. I mean, he's got 2,600 of one title of a magazine, and it's a fairly common magazine. And he's got, 1,500 or something like that, 2,000 of a newspaper title.
Yeah.
And he makes sales. We check him out. He makes sales every week out of those categories because he owns those categories. And it makes me take a look at where I am, and I'm kind of scattershot. I've got, 52 movie magazines and 14 Newsweeks and 27 Time. And one of my problems is that, we recently did a deal, which you ended up letting me have because you didn't think it was quite the good deal for you. And probably in the long run, it was probably a really wise decision on your part, the deal out in Auburn.
Yeah, well, it'd still be sitting in the corner.
It'd still be sitting there, right. And I've actually listed a couple thousand items out of it. But there were there's basically runs of years of Time magazines in there. And my problem is I end up going for the longer term sales by listing them on Amazon because you can list them so quickly on Amazon. Now, if I had taken them and listed them all on eBay, I would, in 1977 Time Magazine, I would own the category because I'd have every single one of them.
Right.
Type deal.
But for the time difference,
I choose
less
it
than
differently.
half listed on eBay compared to all that you have on Amazon listed.
Yeah, I didn't list any on eBay at all. I didn't list no Time Magazine on eBay out of that entire deal. They all went on Amazon, and I'm selling about one every 2 weeks because that's how I roll. The problem with Amazon is they make it very, very hard to differentiate yourself from other people. So you can't really own a category. I mean, people may come across you in there, and there are options where if people buy multiple things, they can get discounts on shipping, et cetera, et cetera. That does exist, but it's a lot harder to market yourself. You're basically part of Amazon when you're listing on Amazon, as opposed to eBay. You're Mr. Magazine. I'm Papergoy. We're who we are on eBay, and we can draw people in that way. So this deal that you're talking about over here, so you've got some trepidation about doing it for a couple of different reasons we've talked about. Number one, the duplicates, or 3 reasons. Number 2, the dollar amount.
Right.
And number 3, just because of all of the other deals coming in.
Well, storage on top of it.
Storage,
all. Yeah,
right.
Storage, yeah.
The question comes in, when are you going to get them listed?
Right.
And that's another issue that we're both running into. My living room is filled up with things. It just is. But the deals keep coming in and they keep getting
it's
good.
Hard to turn down. My employees think I'm nuts. I don't know if it's an obsession or I just know a good deal and I take advantage of it, or I'm competitive. I don't want any. If I get it, if I don't get it, someone else is going to get it for less. That's how I have that mentality.
Well, but I think that the example of the Geneva deal coupled with the comics that you wholesaled out to me, I think that kind of does prove one thing that we've said in the past. I'm buried. I mean, I am absolutely buried. I just am. Not that you and I compete on deals,
Right.
but let's say that a large deal came your way. In fact, there is a deal. It's not a large deal, but you've got some boxes of comics up front that you've been begging me to take.
Yeah.
And it's a good deal. It's a good price on them. You're offering me basically what you paid on them. It's a good deal. You bought them kind of because it was another local dealer that flipped them to you, and you kind of want to keep him in the you bought them, you're passing them along to me at cost, and it's a fair deal. It's more than a fair deal. And I keep hemming and hawing, and they're still sitting up front because I've got nowhere to put them at, and I buy them. When am I going to get them listed? So you've kind of buried me, not intentionally, but you buried me. So that's another thing to remember, though, too, is there are only so many people that can handle big deals, and a lot of people, if you give them a deal that's beyond what they can handle, they drop out of being your competition.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy, the things that are going on. The businesses are growing, and it's going to be very interesting to see what 2021 brings. So hopefully we're sitting here in a new warehouse at the end of 2021 because you may need one sometime soon.
Yeah, we're jam packed here.
So we'll be seeing you next video.
Take care. Bye.